Hello and welcome to the Voice of Rio Grande. We are really pleased to have another show for you today, and I know some of you are watching us and some of you may be listening to us now, but we're just glad to have you here and joining us. There's always what I feel like a treat for me for these shows as I get to meet and visit with new and old friends and share their stories with you. So welcome today, and we have a really important event that's happened on this campus this week, and that is that our classes started. Today is the third day of our classes, and so we have been going since Monday, so it's been really exciting to welcome students to campus, and the campus is just alive. It looks gorgeous. If you haven't visited the campus lately or you're not viewing from campus, we welcome you to come and visit us and just see and feel the electricity in the air. As I met with our new students and returning students Sunday afternoon, there really was this feeling, and like I told them, this electricity in the air that I believe is going to power this institution to really some unprecedented accomplishments. And it's because of that interest and excitement of our students and our faculty and our staff and our communities to make that happen. So speaking of communities, I would like to welcome our guests today. We have Steve Evans that's joining us. And Steve, we are so glad that you're here.
Very pleased to be here.
To be here on this show, but just to be here in our community, and it's been great to get to know you and your family. So I really just look forward to hearing what you have to share with us today about some of your experiences and just your life and in this area and all the great accomplishments that you've had. So we just want to cover as much ground as we can, and I know we won't get it all. So that means you'll have to come back for a second show.
Well, we'll see how well we do here today.
Okay.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the Board of Trustees of Rio Grande College for having the wisdom and foresight to find the president with your qualifications and your leadership skills. You have left a big mark here already, Dr. Johnston. We're really pleased to have you.
Oh, that is so nice. But you know what I found, Steve, when I got here is that the people here are just remarkable. I grew up in Mississippi in a real small rural area. In fact, the little community I was in was smaller than Rio Grande.
Oh, okay.
And so when we went to town, it was kind of like going to Gallipolis for us here. And I just found that people there really looked out for each other. They really cared about each other, and the sense of neighbors in your community, I mean, that just meant everything. And that's what I found here. So I think any success I've had is because of what already has been here and just the determination of the people and the fiber of the people here. So thank you for saying that.
Well, it's a close-knit community. I grew up here, and your comment about people caring about the community. And it's, I think, one of the biggest problems in our whole nation today is the loss of community.
I agree.
The sense of caring about your neighbor and your neighbor's kids. I grew up just down the road here, and when I was a little boy, my mother would give me a quarter. And I could walk up the hill to Wade Service Station, and I could get a soft drink and a candy bar. And I passed at least 3 houses along the way where people would see me coming or going to keep an eye on me. And it may not sound like a big deal, but it really is a big deal, and it's part of the biggest problems we have in our country today is that is lost, and what's replaced it is certainly no replacement, put it that way. So,
and we still have that here.
We do have it in Rio Grande.
I don't believe we'll ever lose it.
I hope not.
Because I think that we're just passing it on with the families and the generations here. So
well, I'm sure you know this. With that tool in a community, you can face about any adversity and overcome it. But if you lose it, you're really on your own. And
it's hard to get it back.
It's really difficult to get back. So I'm proud of the community of Rio Grande and tickled to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, tell us a little bit about, I mean, your story. I've heard a lot of, they're not rumors. I know they're all the truth about all the things.
There's plenty of rumors, I'm sure.
All the things you've done and that your family has done and just what that's meant for so many people in this area and beyond. But could you tell us a little bit, kind of what brought you to this point when you look at your life and kind of, let's start out with the big and then we'll go from there.
Well, you know, we grew up like you did in this small community here, and we grew up on a big farm, and all those influences, growing up with mom and dad starting a small business, and I can remember when it was still very small, and watched them struggle and work to make it bigger and better. And you know, we picked up on a lot of those experiences and used them in our own lives. So I actually started my own sausage company in 1998. Took my mom's favorite recipe from 1946, which was the first year they really began to sell country sausage. And I wanted to keep that alive. And So we have a small company, and we sell sausage in central and eastern West Virginia and eastern Kentucky and central and southeastern Ohio. And then we ship out of the area as well. But yeah, we're real tickled to be doing that. And I want to thank all my good customers that are watching today. We appreciate your trade very much.
Good, good.
So, yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed it myself, just personally. So, and shared with my family.
And I want to say Rio Grande College uses our sausage.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about some of the experiences that you had, maybe with the business. We'll go there, and then maybe we can kind of go backwards and forwards too. But I know that you were kind of a hit on QVC at one point.
We had
a few appearances.
Yeah, when I first started, of course, we started really small. I started with just a couple $1,000s in a Nevada hog, and we made sausage. And I thought, if we'll just start like Mom and Dad did and make some sausage and make a batch, and people like it, we'll make more. So then we started like that. Anyway, we started doing pretty well, and I had an opportunity to go on QVC. And most people know what that is. That's it's a national, actually an international home shopping network that sells in the United States and Canada. And so I was invited to come to the QVC headquarters over near Philadelphia, take a day's training.
How neat.
And they came into the room where we were sitting. There were 90 of us in the room taking 1 day's training before you go on television. And they came in and said, congratulations, you are the 90 companies that we picked of over 4,000 applicants that we looked at.
Wow.
So we were in a very select group of people.
Yes.
It was a great fun day of training.
I bet.
And and of course you're kind of nervous because you're going to be on this television show. It's a live television show.
Right.
There's no editing, and there's no lag time.
So is this. So
yes, right. So is this.
A flashback?
No, yeah, a little bit of one. Anyway, so they explained to us that it's sort of like what you and I are doing. Sort of they characterize it as an over-the-back fence conversation between you and your next door neighbor.
Okay.
To give it a characterization, so you have a feel for what you're going to be, be like on the TV set.
Right.
So anyway, the next morning, I'm waiting on the TV set. I'm all wired up, and the one thing they teach you in training is that you simply can't freeze up. Everybody's a little nervous, and that's kind of good.
Right.
But when you get to the point where you really just sort of, like deer in the headlights, you can't talk, then they have to shut you down and go to the next person, and it hurts everything. Your sales don't work. And this is a live sales situation.
No pressure, right?
No pressure. Well, they tell you that you're going to have 5 minutes.
Okay.
And at about 2.5 minutes, if you aren't starting to sell something, they've got to go on because it's free to get on there. It doesn't cost anything. They make all their money selling your products.
Right.
Anyway, unfortunately, the guy before me froze up. I felt so bad for him. I really did.
Yeah.
He was a nice man. I sat next to him in training. And anyway, they whispered in my ear, "You're next. Estimated audience, 700,000.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I wish they had never said that to me.
That may make you freeze up.
Now, to give you a scale to go by, only 850,000 people live in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
I was going to be talking be in front of everybody. 700,000 people. That's a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dave Venable was the host, and for folks who watch that show, Dave's one of the real stars. He's a great person. I spent some time with him beforehand, and he's just exactly the guy you see on TV. He comes rolling up on the set, and we get started, and as soon as we began, I did fine. But it's a really cool place to work. It's live TV, and as your show progresses, you can glance at live monitors that show how you're doing. Wow. So you know as you approach that 2.5 minute mark, you need to be making these graphs go up.
Right.
So at 2 minutes, I look at our sales and phone calls coming in. It was not pretty. I thought, oh boy, we got to do something fast. So I remembered something I used to do at food demos, and I said, Mr. Venable, give me a sausage patty and put it right down here. And he did. And I said, give me a toothpick. And I said to Cameron, just focus in really close. I'm going to cut this sausage patty with a toothpick.
Oh.
And I cut that sausage patty with a toothpick, and I gave it to Dave Venable. And after that, at the end of my 5 minutes, we had done terrific. And actually, we were the #1 selling item for the next 60 minutes on QVC.
Nice.
All because I cut that sausage patty. It's amazing what the smallest thing. But here's the deal. We had the sizzle. We didn't have the steak until I cut that sausage patty.
Right.
And then we had the whole package put together. So we did great. We really did. And it was a great experience.
And what a story. I mean, that's really symbolic for a lot of the things that we do, too. That we can talk about things and we can try to get people excited, but until they can see what difference it is and what it's like, then you don't get the response.
Well, all of us eat with our eyes first, and I knew that. just from food experience all my life. So I realized that if I'm sitting at home on television and I see some guy with a straw hat pitching country sausage, I really need to see something more than just a sausage patty cooked. So we anyway, and of course Dave has all this. He's great integrity with his customers. You know, Dave Venable says it's good. It really is, and so he commented, as we knew he would, how good it was, and that's all it took. Once they saw it was tender and juicy, it tasted good, they bought like crazy.
So it's the quality, and one of the things as I was reading more about you, and I've experienced firsthand the quality of your product. But that's something that we talk about a lot at Rio Grande, is we're really focused on quality and improving that and making sure that our students here get the quality that they deserve and that they're really prepared to go out into the marketplace or continue in graduate school. And so I feel like we're kindred spirits. We're kind of speaking that same language about quality and what that means. And so with your product, not only is the quality high, that I feel like I'm not a sausage connoisseur, but I really like it a lot. So I've had a lot of sausage over the years. So I think about the spices that you have. There's a really unique flavor and a taste to that is unique. Can you talk a little bit about that? About kind of what?
Right. Yes. It is unique. We don't add any flavorings to our product.
Okay.
We're probably the only sausage company in the country that doesn't add, if you look on the ingredient list, you always see flavorings or something other than spices.
Right.
And what we actually use is field-grown rubbed sage for our main flavoring ingredient. And a lot of companies don't even use that product anymore, or they use it in with other flavorings.
Right.
And so we buy the best grown, highest quality sage grown anywhere in the world.
Okay.
We have a very good source for that, and we spend a lot of time sourcing it to make sure that we have the very finest, and we do. And so, we take care of that part of the product. Every step of the way has a major input in the final product.
Right.
And
makes a difference.
It does make a difference. You cannot shortcut on food products anyway. You can't shortcut any ingredient or any process.
Right.
Even if you can save money.
Right.
You're just torpedoing the product, and
exactly.
And it doesn't work out very well in the end.
No. And it's so funny how something like that, like your products, it's the same kind of thing we talk about here. You can't cut corners and expect that you're going to be able to provide the kind of education and the experience here for students. As I look at the communities here and see the impact of you and your family, it's huge. And I look on our campus and I see that as well. And I know that you've had your family has worked with our scholarship programs and other things like that that's made a difference for students. So I wanted to just say thank you. Thank you for what your family has done, for what you've done personally. And I know that hasn't ended.
Well, let me share a story with you don't know. Okay?
All right.
Can I share one clear out of the blue? And you're probably going to really like this one.
Okay, good.
We're going to go back to 1896.
All right.
And this deep in the bowels of Gallia County, a little community down in Cadmus, Ohio.
Okay.
My grandfather, my dad's father, was born down there. Stanley L. Evans was the third eldest of 12 kids.
Wow.
And his father and mother were dirt farmers. They didn't have a lot. In fact, they didn't have much. Grandpa was a bright kid, but he only got to go to the 5th grade. Great-grandpa had to pull him out and put him to work in the fields.
Yeah.
7 years later, when my grandfather was 12, his dad died of a heart attack plowing one day and left his whole family to fend for themselves. So now you're talking somewhere around 1911, 1912, and grandfather heard about a night course at Rio Grande College that you could take for 6 weeks, and if you could pass the written exam at the end, you got a certificate to teach elementary school. Well, Grandpa made that trip. He found some place to stay here, and because they didn't travel back and forth.
Okay.
They didn't have any sort of vehicle. They'd had a mule or a horse.
Okay.
And he stayed, and he passed and got his teacher's certificate and got a job in West Virginia.
Okay.
At the age of 17, teaching 1st to 4th graders.
Wow.
For $25 a month. He got $5 more for being the janitor, and then he had a mule that they gave him, and he would stay a week since he was just a kid, 17. He would stay at different people's houses.
Okay.
And that was free.
Okay.
So he sent the $25 home to his mother to feed his other 11 kids and kept the $5. That's how he started out. Now let me fast forward things for you a little bit, okay? Let's fast forward about 50 years.
Okay.
Not 50, 40 years. 40, 45 years. I'm not sure the dates on this. Grandfather had gone had moved out of the teaching business and gone into the food business.
Okay.
We go all the way back that far.
Wow.
Okay. And
yeah,
he and my great uncle.
DNA,
oh yeah,
right?
it's in the DNA. He and my great uncle John actually started a little grocery selling company. Anyway, by this time he'd been very successful. He had 12 supermarkets and his own central distribution warehouse. You know where the Thomas Dewitt Center is? Mm-hmm. That building was built by Grandpa Stanley L. Evans. That was his grocery warehouse. He built it in 1958.
Oh.
Anyway, Grandpa had done very well. Survived the Great Depression. Had a terrible time there, but like everybody else did as well.
Right.
Stayed the course, became successful, and somewhere along the mid-1950s, Rio Grande College was struggling financially, really bad. And Grandpa Evans just drove out here one day and brought his checkbook from the grocery company and sat down and wrote the payroll out to pay the staff.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how many times he did that.
Yeah.
But at least once.
Oh, I had not heard that story.
So I felt like things had really come full circle.
Yeah.
They'd saved him and his family.
Right.
And he came back and without hesitation and saved this,
wow.
Kept the lights going and kept it on until things settled down. I don't know how long he did that for, but yeah, that's a true story.
Yeah, that's really, that was a turning point.
It was,
things
absolutely.
have happened throughout the history of this institution, and it's what's made it stronger, too.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yes, they do. And Grandpa didn't forget where he came from, and he didn't forget who his friends were, and in his darkest hour, they reached out, and he reached out, or they reached out, and they were there for him and his family, and he never forgot that. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
So there's a story for you.
That's good. I'm glad I heard that one because I have not heard that before, and it's very moving to me to think about people that care that much about and look at the contributions and what helped them in their lives and then want to give back to that. And I think that, we're talking about things that are lost, and those are things for our students and our communities that we hope we don't lose, because you can't forget those things. You shouldn't forget those things.
It's important to remember who brought you, what brought you, how you got there, because you rarely do it on your own.
Right. Well, and I was reading a story, and just to talk about your dad a little bit, I know he was a big influence. Both your mom and dad were huge influences in your life.
Mom still is.
Yeah,
Mom still is.
I saw her the other night. She seems to be doing really well. It was great to see her, and she was out. She was at a concert, and it was just a wonderful event, and she seemed like she was thoroughly enjoying it.
Let me say one thing about her.
Okay.
Without Mom, there would be no Bob Evans Farms. There would be no big success story.
I believe it.
Dad's name's on everything, but Mom was an amazingly huge supporter, huge force, and in many cases the difference.
Right.
And we're still glad to have her. She worked so hard, and there's a lady who. I'm the first generation of my family, by the way, to not grow up in some form of poverty.
Really.
And my dad suffered poverty, and my mother suffered really bad poverty. And Dad used to tell us kids. Being poor is no disgrace, it's just darn inconvenient.
Right.
So
that's right.
He's a great motivator. Yeah. And so, they got married June 1st, 1940. They had $100 between them, and that was it. And a job. Didn't even own a car.
What a success story.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. We have a lot of students here, Steve, that you've probably met a number of them, and we see them. We have students here from all walks of life and from really every part of the world. But we have a lot of students from the Appalachian region, from other areas that are just they have come out of poverty. Their families are still in extreme poverty. And our scholarship programs and those kinds of things, they really make a difference. And when you think about the difference that those programs make, it is very real, up close and personal here, that those dollars and the support to help those students move on and to have an opportunity in their lives, so that the inconveniences of poverty and not having the finance and the financial support from your family that you wish that you had, it really does. Money can't do everything, but it sure can help with those students being able to pursue their dreams. And I know your family has been involved in helping us with scholarship funds and that kind of thing. It's a big difference.
Sure. Yes, if you're willing to work for it.
Yeah.
And you're willing to help break the chains of poverty, there are opportunities out there and ways and support and means. I'm not an authority on that subject, but I've been involved on the periphery, and I want to tell you, if you really want to get out and improve your lot in life, you can do it. And Rio Grande College is a great place to start. One of the reasons is a lot of the staff, a lot of the folks that work here have broken their own chains of poverty, so they can speak to you about it firsthand. It's not a secret.
Right.
Just roll up your sleeves and get determined about it.
That's true. Very true.
There you
very
go.
true.
Yeah.
So I read a story about your dad meeting Ronald Reagan.
Oh yes.
Do you remember him talking about that story?
Yes. I remember him coming home, and Ronald Reagan, of course, was president at the time, and he was commencement speaker. I think it was a spring quarter commencement at Ohio State.
Okay.
And Dad was deeply involved in year-round grazing at the time, which was being fostered and nurtured and taught at Ohio State University, at the Ohio State University. I got to get that right. And so he decided.
You'll get in trouble if you leave that part out.
Yes, I will. Anyway, on this given day, this was a Saturday, I think. Dad went up early to go to the beef barns and meet some of the professors that were working on the year-round grazing project, and then he was going to go over and listen to the president. We were all big fans of Reagan's, and where is he when you need him the most? But anyway, it feels that way anyhow. So Dad goes over to the Horseshoe, which is where the president is speaking, and the president's in the middle of his speech, and there's just hordes of people there, of course. And the man taps him on the shoulder, and Dad turns around and says, it was a Secret Service agent, and he said, "Are you Bob Evans?" And Dad said, "Yes." And the gentleman says, "Well, come with me. The president wants to meet you." So Dad, he was impressed and excited and embarrassed because he had on work clothes, and he had on boots that had manure on them from the cattle barn, and he was going to go see the president. He said he was so embarrassed that I never would have, if I'd known he was going to meet. So he goes backstage. We have pictures of he and the president backstage, and he apologizes to President Reagan. And President Reagan laughed and said, "Bob, don't worry about it. I raise horses. I get horse manure on my feet all the time." True story. Anyway,
really cool.
It was probably one of the most exciting things Dad ever did. Was meet Reagan. And then when Dad got home, he got a nice box from the White House with a picture of Ronald Reagan and a personal letter, how much nice it was to meet him. And all that. So,
that's really neat. So some really cool experiences
really
along
cool.
the way.
Dad had met an awful lot of people, high-profile celebrity-type people over the years, but Ronald Reagan, was of course the president and such an amazing world leader in his day. So it was pretty huge to meet that guy, especially when he sends for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was.
Well, Steve, tell me a little bit about what's next for you. I mean, what are you up to these days besides your many business activities and things like that? What's next?
Well, I'm trying to grow a sausage business some and make it bigger and better without losing handle of quality and that sort of thing. I'm involved. I'm president of the Ohio West Virginia Youth Leadership Association, and we run the youth in government programs in West Virginia, in Charleston, as well as in Columbus at the State House. And we have two camps, Camp Horseshoe in Parsons, West Virginia, and Cave Lake in Pike County, where we run summer youth leadership camps for high school kids, also youth in our youth opportunity camps in West Virginia for kids in poverty. So, and then we also do youth in government seminars and our United Nations program. So there's a lot going on with that organization, and it helps a lot of kids in poverty. Show them ways to apply themselves and get help and get aid and work hard and choose a better path. Stay off drugs, stay in school. Do the right things, and there are people out there to help you. And so that just hooks in, and what we try to do there then is influence kids to look for those scholarships, look for a good school, and just keep on going forward.
Well, and I think that's those positive influences and programs that really take students and put them in front of seeing a future.
Absolutely.
This is a path, and this is what you have to do to get there.
Absolutely right. We see that especially in our youth and government programs when kids go to the state houses, and in both states we've had great participation by state leaders, governors, and state auditors, and the Supreme Court justices, and state auditors, Secretary of State. They come down and see the kids, spend time, take them on tours to their buildings, and so it's an amazing experience. And kids lights really start to come on. They realize they can do these things. They can do it themselves. It's not somebody else. It's not somebody you see on TV. You can do it.
That's great.
And that's what we teach these kids.
How did you get involved in those programs?
Oh, I just got recruited by good friends. The right kind of influence.
And they knew that you could make a difference.
Well, I don't know. We can try. We try. We try to make a difference. There are people you can help, and some that you can't always help. But we have seen some. We've got some amazing stories. I'm going to tell one real quick story because we're short on time. But we had a young guy, and this has been a number of years ago, who came to our camp in West Virginia. He was a bright young man. His family had been and still is in the timber business. And this young boy told us, or not me, but he told the director down there that he was going to stay with the family business and become a lumberjack. Well, our man on the spot thought this young man is much more capable than that, and he encouraged him going forward. End result is Dr. Dale Watering ended up at WVU, got his degree in engineering, ended up at MIT, and eventually got a PhD in astrophysics, went to work at NASA, And until the space shuttle program was shut down, he had written a computer program that carried the space shuttle vehicle from what they call the barn, where they store it, out to the launch pad. That was his big contribution. And from the time he wrote it to the time they closed the program, they used his program to move that space shuttle back and forth.
Wow.
Today, Dale Watering has a consulting firm in Huntsville, Alabama. He has about 25 employees, and he consults for NASA.
Oh, yeah.
But he was going to be a lumberjack.
Right, and he took a very different path.
See, so I mean, that's an extreme success story. But that's the
great.
kind of success story that other people can have as well.
Right.
You just have to apply yourself and try hard and look for help. Come and see Dr. Johnston. She's got this. I'll tell you what, she's a cool lady. Don't anybody can tell you any different. We're tickled to have her here, and she can help you get off on the right foot. But there are ways to do it, and people to help you, and don't lose sight of that.
Exactly. That's really good advice. I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that so many people don't look at, kind of seek out the opportunities. They kind of take what comes to them.
Right.
And we talk to our students a lot about that, about finding those opportunities and going after them, because you can, and you can compete with anyone. And I'll tell a quick story. I think we have like a minute left.
Sure, please do.
But I had the opportunity to take a student and go to the State House in Columbus and testify. It was in the House budget process.
Oh, okay.
And we had students from several institutions with their presidents there.
Okay.
And some very prestigious institutions. I won't mention them by name, but very prestigious institutions. And I can't tell you how proud I was of the student that was there, that she had written her own testimony. And she was one of our senior students at that time, so she's graduated now. But she blew it out of the water.
Good.
And when you looked at how those other students did, they did a fine job. But she was...
Your girl was the best one?
By far. And I was so proud of her.
Was Ryan Smith there?
He was.
Yeah,
he didn't miss it.
Okay.
So I know we don't have much time, but I wanted to say thank you, Steve, for being here, and I want you to come back.
Well, it was an honor for me to be invited by you, Dr. Johnston.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate
it. Look forward to working with you, and next time we'll be having some other guests, and we'll be talking about the Farm Festival. So thank you for being here and joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.